Some viewers may find the following video disturbing. Viewer discretion is advised.
Hey everyone, welcome back to Board Games Unlimited. Brad and I are doing our top 10 bands. Now, we're not talking about, I don't have anything that's related to board games. Like, where this is basically a non-board game related top 10 where we are just going to be going over the bands that are near and dear to our heart. Um, Funny enough, this is easily the most difficult. Like, probably this in movies or video games outside of board games, it feels like these are just the hardest lists to make, at least for me,
Mine was
because
pretty easy.
really, well,
I mean,
I
I, I I have a list of like, I had a list of about 50 that I had to cut down to 11 just because
gotcha.
I love music and
Yeah.
always.
I mean, yeah, that's what makes it so hard is because you're taking into consideration, in your case, like 62 years of
Yeah,
listening to
right.
music and 30 years for me. I mean, it's the same thing with movies and video games. We've listened to music longer than we've played board games, or we've watched movies or played video games longer than board games. So it's like, okay, how do we just narrow it down to 10? And I mean, I was able to do it, but it's so weird because it's like at any given day, any other band could be on this list for
Yeah.
me. There's so many bands that I'm like, oh, this is my favorite band right now. And all of mine are bands except for one. One is, I believe, a solo
All
is
right.
a solo artist.
Mine are all bands as well,
Okay.
and I have actually seen all of them in concert except for one.
Oh, interesting.
Hmm.
I have seen one, two, three, four, five. I've seen half of mine
Yeah.
in concert. There's a few that I was going to see, but then they either canceled or um that was actually main. There's only one that I was going to go see and they canceled. Now here's the caveat for me anyway. I don't look into like the history of bands. It's mainly just who am I consistently listening to? How many of their songs, how many of their albums do I uh enjoy versus, actual facts about who they are. Because I'm not a big celebrity guy. I'm not like, oh, I used to be whenever I was growing up. Like my mom, whenever I'd go to concerts, she would always want to go to find the tour buses to try to meet them. And that's so I've met a lot of really famous members of certain bands, but now as I got older, I do not do that. I'm like, hey, I've seen them. I'm going home. Like, so that's kind of this one's gonna be a little bit difficult for me to kind of explain or really just give a whole lot of depth into why I like these besides the fact that I just do?
Yeah, and I don't think we'll have any crossover just because you're gonna more than any list we've ever done, board game or not, generationally, this one's going to be different just because of our age difference and stuff.
That is true. It is more than likely that I mean, God, I mean, you grew up listening to, songs from like the 1910s, those early doo-wop hits.
Now my I'm strongly influenced in like the 90s would be
Gotcha.
my main focus of stuff.
Um, yeah. Yeah, actually, I'm taking a look at like how long my bands have been active. There's one, two, and he doesn't really count. Three, three are in the 90s. The rest are actually early 2000s, funny enough. But that's enough preamble. Let's go ahead and get started. And just, I do have every single band I have pulled up on Wikipedia so I can give some info on
Right.
them. So if people are like, what is he looking at? I'm listening to the music. I'm like, oh, yeah, this is good. We wanted to include actual songs, but YouTube would just probably come up and shoot me in the face. They're just like, nope, that's too much. Um, so did you provide an album? I picked my favorite album from the bands.
Um, most of the time, yeah, it was my
Okay.
favorite album. There, some of them, it's kind of like two sides of a coin. I mean, I like all their albums, so I just kind of sometimes there's a couple that I pick like the coolest album cover, or something, just to. But
Okay.
yeah, but yeah,
Okay, cool. Well, let's go ahead and get started with, am I first? I'm assuming I'm first.
yes, you're first.
With my honorable mention, and what we're gonna slowly find out. I mean, this band says on Wikipedia it's a rock band. I would not give it rock. I would definitely go metalcore or pop punk, which is where, spoiler, you're gonna see a lot of that type of genre on my list, just because that's what I mainly grew up listening to. And out of all the pop punk bands that are on my list, this is the one that I've actually most recently started listening to a lot more with let's see. Yeah, their album that I picked is called You're Welcome, and that was actually one of my number one albums in the year it came out. So this band is there we go. A Day to Remember. Specifically, like I said, You're Welcome is the album that I really started. I mean, I knew A Day to Remember. They've had, let's see if I can find one of their earlier albums if I go off of their discography, which is going to be, is that the one? No, I think it's Homesick. Does that, yeah, it's Homesick. Homesick was in 2009, whenever like one of their most popular songs is actually off of that album. But with You're Welcome, it was a lot more poppy, I guess, than the metalcore that they were doing. And at that time, whenever they were kind of, you know, being listened to a lot, I was like, there's so many bands out there that are like this. So they've kind of differentiated themselves a little bit over the years and stayed a little bit more relevant to today than some of the other pop punk bands. But yeah, I mean, they've been around since 2003, still going strong. This is not one of the bands I've seen live. I don't think that they played at Warped Tour, at least the year that I went. But yeah, I mean, I'd be surprised. I'd honestly be surprised if if there was anyone that doesn't really know our bands, besides you not knowing my band.
I don't know this band.
I'd be surprised if you liked most of my bands. I could think of two,
Those
two
ones
or
that you said,
three.
the ones you said were in the '90s, I probably.
Yeah. You would definitely, yeah, that's actually true. You will know them for sure. They're from, yeah, 2003. And
Yeah.
God, in 2003, I would have been, um,
Oh,
10. Would have been
yeah.
10 years old when they started.
Mhm.
Um, but yeah, so they're an honorable mention mainly because I've listened to this album the most, and I haven't gone back to listen to all of their songs, but I remember them being really good and in certain albums whenever I was growing up. So that's my honorable mention, A Day to Remember.
All right. Well, my number 11 is I have seen these guys a couple of times. Um, and it's just freaking insane when you watch these guys live because when they are playing, they have um, the numbers kind of changed here and there, but for the most of their life of their band, they've had nine members on the stage at once. Um, and what makes them stand out is they have three percussionists. So they have one main drummer and then two percussionists. So there's constantly
Interesting.
percussion going, and that is Slipknot.
Oh God. Okay. I
um,
would not.
yeah,
You're
these
the
guys.
only normal guy at that concert. You're like,
No, there was quite a
yeah.
few, but yeah, these guys just the hard hitting. It's the fast paced, in your face, hard rock. They Google has them called groove metal. Um,
Groove metal.
I don't
Interesting.
know exactly what that maybe because I know they have they have turntables and stuff going too, so maybe it has something to do with that.
Hmm.
But but yeah, I mean these guys as soon as that first album came out in '99, um, it was just like right in your face. They were kind of one of those early ones that they all wear the masks
Hmm.
and just insanity, as they go.
I think
And
they're the
yeah,
ones that had that music video where they're like trashing the house and like
yes,
didn't
yes,
like people got hurt doing that and didn't they like cover their medical bills or something?
something, yeah,
Yeah, like
yeah,
their attire doesn't like showcase actually like that they're not assholes.
yeah. Well,
From it's like go ahead.
no, I was just gonna say their lead singer Corey Taylor. He um, has done a lot of side projects like Stone
Hmm.
Sour, or
Yep.
and stuff like that, and everything like that. So he doesn't do masks on that, obviously, but they've rotated some members throughout the years. But it's just bonkers watching these guys live. I mean, they've put out tons of albums over the years. Their latest album still has a couple of my favorite songs of theirs on it. So they just keep keep going.
Yeah.
And it's because I think their last one came out in like 22, I want to say. And
Is that their latest one?
yeah,
Interesting.
yeah, so far. Um, but uh, but yeah, it's just an in your face thing. And if you haven't listened to them and you like this kind of stuff, I mean, gosh, you gotta jump in on it because having those percussionists, because there's one drummer and then the other ones are like on kettle drums or whatever, like, but it all just the beats just it's so fast paced for
Yeah.
the most part and stuff that it's just kind of bonkers.
Yeah, Slipknot is not on my list. But that it's I don't I'd be surprised if there was anyone on your list that I would actively dislike. I really hope there's one. You said 90s and I'm like I really hope there's one band
Find out.
on here just so I can make fun of you. Um, but this Slipknot has like a almost a special place because I remember growing up, hanging out with friends, listening, playing multiplayer Halo 2 while listening to Slipknot.
There
And
you
it's
go.
like, it is good music. They definitely have some bangers.
All right.
All right, cool. All right, so now onto the list with my number 10, which is actually a band that you told me about. This would have been years ago, and this is actually one of the five. Did I say five? I've seen five.
Yeah.
This is one of the five that I have seen live relatively recently, and they're technically classified. A lot of people refer to them as like modern day. I want to say it's modern day Led Zeppelin, and that
Oh, okay.
is
Yeah, I gotcha.
Greta Van Fleet.
I was like, who did I hell did I tell you
I know, yeah.
about?
You're the one who's like, you've never heard of them? And I'm like, nope. And I started listening to them, and they're always on rotation for a lot of just um like shuffle playlist. And they played in Arkansas. Oh God. Like I think within the year is when I've seen them. And God, it's so weird because they are so like their music or like playing live they are so like their album that the vibe I was into what I was expecting was not like the mood that I was in was not what they were playing, if that makes any sense. So I was like, man, I think they're so good that I think I'd rather just listen to the album, because sometimes you go to see a band because the energy that they're going to bring is not what you can get from the album, or they're better live, or unfortunately, some bands are worse live, and I've definitely had that experience too. Greta Van Fleet was so damn near perfect that I'm like, you could not be more crystal clear like your records. So I don't gain anything from being here. Now it's the amphitheater in Arkansas, which is an outdoor venue. It's a good outdoor venue, but I'm like, yeah, I just don't want to be here. However, I mean, for some reason, they're calling their like Wikipedia has them as hard rock. I would never consider Greta Van Fleet
Yeah.
hard rock, and maybe their early albums, but this one, The Battle at Garden's Gate, is phenomenal. They're definitely like prog rock, like yeah, I
I don't
guess
know.
whatever Led Zeppelin is. Because I definitely get the Led Zeppelin vibes. I personally get more Rush vibes from them, and I think that's mainly his voice, but I guess it has three brothers in it. Jake, Sam, and Josh Kiska. Um, that God, yeah, I think my favorite song off of this album in particular is probably here. I have to pull it up real quick. You have to make sure it is off of this album. Yeah, I mean, Heat Above is just amazing. Broken Bells is also really good. Light My Love, like this album just has banger after banger. Now, if you don't like people with perfect voices, then you might not like Greta Van Fleet. But yeah, it's really hard to get a modern day band that can replicate one of the old classics or the greats. And
Yeah.
Greta Van Fleet is really, really up there. Um, so yeah, like I mean, they're fantastic live, but they're just so solid with their albums. And they don't really have that many. They started
Yeah.
in 2012 and they're
Yeah.
still going strong.
That lead singer is such a little guy too.
Yeah,
And
he
you
is.
know,
He went up there and he's like, "Hi guys," and
yeah.
they like brought him a step stool so he can reach the mic. It was amazing. No, he is something else. I'm almost 1,000,000% though he is coked up like half the time.
Maybe.
Let's It is, let's see, they did Starcatcher in 2023. I think that is, or 2024. No, that's when they won their Grammy, or they were nominated. Um, yeah, I think 2023 might have been their latest album.
Yeah.
So, so yeah, that's my number 10, Greta Van Fleet.
All right. My number 10, this is the only one I have not seen in concert.
Okay.
Um, Mainly because they kind of dissipated uh, in the 80s, before I really started going to concerts a lot and stuff. But this is one of the classic rock bands that you will, I mean, they have so much of their music is put into different movies. It's all over the place. They actually came out with a movie a few years ago that was the story of the band, and all that stuff, and that is Queen.
Yeah.
Um,
Queen was on my short list. I mean, I
yeah,
mean, they're basically the perfect band though.
I
Like,
mean, yeah, uh, like I said, I didn't get a chance to see them, but they just have so many songs. Like if you just look at their list of songs, it's like all these songs just constantly. Like their greatest hits album is like two CDs long of like 40,
yeah,
and everything. It's
that's
like,
true.
I mean, they just have so many albums and so many songs, and the songs are so different. I think that they were so far ahead of their time back
Hmm.
then when they were coming out, because it was like, they could go really tender and really soft, and then they could go heavy, and then they had the stadium rock songs, and they just bent the genre like in all different directions to create all different kinds of music, and they brought in, they were, I mean, bands have always done this, but like they really pushed audience participation, when they started with We Will Rock You, getting the whole clap,
Hmm.
clap, stomp, stuff like that that was going, and it's just an outstanding band growing up listening to, and everything. But it was hard for me to pick an album really on this, because they have so many different albums that, this is the album that had We Will Rock You, and
Oh, is that off this one? Okay.
yeah, yeah. So and We Are the Champions and stuff like that. Uh, but yeah, it's just nuts. And then watching that movie, even though that movie wasn't like 100% like super 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 accurate or anything, but
Hmm.
it was still just seeing the background deal of like the tragedy of everything, and like the behind the scenes of some stuff and everything. It was just kind of interesting,
Yeah,
and but
this definitely is a band that it's a shame that they're not still going,
mhm.
'cause I don't know how they wouldn't be on top of it, still today.
Yeah.
with just the sheer popularity. And like you said, with crowd participation, it's like Freddie Mercury was able to like just command a crowd with vocal warm-ups
Mm.
is how insane he was.
Well, and he always wanted to push the envelope.
Yeah.
Like that was always his thing. So it would be interesting to know what direction they would have been still going in. Because it's like
Hmm.
he fought so hard for Bohemian Rhapsody, and they
Yeah.
didn't want to do it because it was such a long fucking song. But he was stubborn and got it. And
Yeah.
everything. So yeah, I mean, it's just one of those bands, the classics. But
Yeah.
the
That
rest of
is
these from now on, I've seen multiple times.
nice. Yeah. This is one that would have been amazing to actually see. I definitely was literally unable to ever go see them. But yeah, it's in my top 10 in my heart just because Queen is so good, but I'm never like, oh, I want to listen to Queen, Like but every song that I have heard from them is just a banger. I actually did a Queen marching band show one
Oh
year in
yeah.
in high school, and that was a lot of fun. That actually got me to listen to Queen a lot more. That was the first time I ever heard Bohemian Rhapsody. So, yeah, fantastic pick. My number nine is actually another band that I have seen relatively recently, also at the amphitheater in Arkansas. This one I had a lot more fun listening to because I had heard about them from many years ago. One of their most popular songs is actually like the headliner song of a video game, and that was like the first time I had ever heard of them. And then I just consistently listened to them over the years, and their latest album is the one that I was very excited to go see and hear live, and that is Cage the Elephant.
Borderlands.
Or
Yes.
yep, Borderlands 2. So they're from 2006 to now. And I can say now because their latest album, Neon Pill, is, I think, yeah, 2004. So it came out last year, but they had gone 5 years without releasing an album. And I believe that it's because their lead singer was in rehab. And I think this was kind of like his coming out song of going through all of that. But this album in particular is, of course, the one that I've been listening to the most. And because I've seen them live, I went back to their other discographies and I'm like, oh, okay, what other songs have they, uh, or what other, albums from the songs that they played live? I want to listen to more from those albums. And I mean, this would definitely be more like kind of alt rock or psychedelic rock for most of their, I mean, the song that most people know, which is Ain't No Rest for the Wicked, kind of deters people from most of their songs, at least the ones that I've listened to. It feels less like the rest of their songs than you would think, even though it's a banger of a song. It's so good. They they have a cadence about them that is unlike a lot of other bands. And with Neon Pill kind of comes off more of the psychedelic rock than anything, which is fitting if that's the reason for the album is coming out of rehab. Definitely makes a lot of sense. And whenever I was listening to them live, I mean, they were just also really, really good. I mean, I don't think any of the bands that I have actually on here that I have seen live were bad, which is good to say because sometimes it's like, I like their albums. They suck ass live. Uh, so yeah, Cage the Elephant has been around, God, I mean, yeah, since 2006, which early 2000s might be like, oh, that's not that long ago. No, that's that's 19 years at this point. So it's definitely been some time. So yeah, if you're into kind of like that kind of, it's not punk rock, but it's not generic rock either. Psychedelic rock, alt rock kind of is the more closely
I,
related
I'd say
genre I
I'd
can
say
think.
alt rock.
You think
Yeah, for
so?
sure. Yeah, that would be my
Uh,
guess if I was putting them in a hole.
yeah. Then I would definitely check out Cage the Elephant, but I would imagine that everyone has heard Ain't No Rest for the Wicked.
Oh yeah,
Like that is
for sure.
easily their most popular one, which they did play live, and that was awesome. So yeah, that's my number nine, Cage the Elephant.
Good one. All right. My number nine is the band that I've seen the most in my life. Um, I've seen them a total of 8 times. Um, they are a band that formed in the early 80s, but they really didn't hit prominence until their album came out in 1990 that kind of really separated them and got them mainstream, and then they went from there. They actually are still a band, but
Okay.
only one of the original members is part of it. So I really haven't followed them much since, I think the last album that they put out that um, probably would have been 2000 maybe would have
Oh
been their
wow.
last one. But they put out some other albums since then. But some of their members, well, I'll get into it.
Mhm.
It is Pantera.
Oh, okay.
So the only original member is Phil Anselmo, and he is still the lead singer right now. But like um, Dimebag Daryl, like these guys, Dimebag Daryl was their guitarist, and he was just like probably one of the top guitarists at that time, and everything. He got shot on stage during a show and killed.
Nice.
His
Oh, it killed him?
brother,
Oh, geez.
yeah, he got killed on stage.
God.
And so that was the first deal. And then his brother was the drummer, and he kind of started having health issues, and he ended up passing away. The bassist is still alive, but he's not really with the band anymore. Well, actually, no, he is now. He stepped away, but now he's with them. So actually, there's two
Okay.
currently. So Rex, the bassist, and then Phil, but they have other members. So I really haven't followed them since that, but they've, when in 1990 when Cowboys from Hell came out, that was a really big one. And then this one's my favorite album, The Vulgar Display of Power. But it's just in your face, like really like angry rock. Like these were
Hmm.
like, you know, I mean, look at the cover. I mean, it's just like it's all anger, and I've watched them so many times, and probably the best show I watched of these guys. They were in Kansas City back in the mid '90s, and the concert was called Clash of the Gargantuans, and they had two stages set up, and there was Pantera on one side and White Zombie on the other.
Mm.
And what they did is instead of playing full sets, Pantera would play a song, then White Zombie would play a song, then Pantera would play a song, and it was just like just back and forth and everything, and it was just a crazy show.
That's awesome.
But yeah, these guys um just were hitting hard back then. And like I said, at that time in those '90s, this was the band I was, because they toured a lot, and the group of friends I had at that time, would go to every show that they had when they came around this area and stuff like
Cool.
that. And but yeah, it's just a really cool one. And like if you want peak Pantera, this is the album you want to hear, and you've probably possibly heard some songs on it. I mean, I don't
I
know.
know I've heard Cowboys from Hell
Yeah,
for
that was their
sure.
first. Yeah, and that was actually when Cowboys from Hell album was. Phil had that. He did something with his voice. Like he had the '80s like long, the vibrato voice
Hmm.
type thing going in that one, and then that goes away when you get into Pantera. It's just all like angry, like
Yeah.
rock. So it changed from Cowboys from Hell to this album, um, the way he approached it and everything. But yeah, this is this is a top notch band that I don't even know if I don't even think I've heard them, like listen to them to see if they even sound the same now, since they don't have, because it's to me when Dimebag Daryl died, the spirit of the band kind of changed, because he was such a guitarist, like just
Yeah.
bonkers.
I mean, that can definitely happen for sure. It was kind of the same with I doubt they're on your list, and they're not on my list. They would have been in college if we did this in college, but Avenged Sevenfold,
Oh
when the
yeah.
Rev died, it was kind of
Hmm.
like, and now they're now they're done. That's kind of after their albums after that weren't all that great.
Yeah.
But good deal. Good deal. I know like maybe two songs from them, so I got nothing to add to that. But you did mention Kansas City, and speaking of Kansas City, my next band is actually from Kansas City. How I found them was because out of all the bands on my list, these guys have the best album covers, and all of their album covers are bangers. And they're also the band that I've seen the most recent. It's only been a few months since I've seen them, and that is the
Mm.
Browning.
Oh,
So, uh, the Browning is actually, I guess, Wikipedia has it as electronic core. I call it techno metal, where it is heavy metal with techno, beats, throughout it. And the Browning, all of their songs are a like the perfect blend of a rave and a metal concert. So that, especially because I've been to a rave most recently, and I'm like, I gotta go to another one. That was an absolute blast. Unfortunately, the Browning is such a small band that they never get big venues and they never tour either. Like, yeah, it must not be their full-time job. I wish it was because I think they are great enough to have large venues. But whenever they finally went on tour, I was like, I have to go see them. So we went and it was in a bar. And I was like, I'm bummed because luckily the venue at the bar was actually pretty good. The acoustics and all that was solid. But yeah, like they could definitely, they could easily get a large venue. But this is the album that I picked, Geist, because it has most of the songs that I've listened to this album the most. And they have a decent discography. They have 6 albums, and their latest one, Omni, came out last year, like at the end of last year. They have a lot of really solid singles. They actually released a cover this year of Blue by Eiffel 65. They did a cover of. So yeah, like I thought they were fantastic. His wife, I think, is in another band that opened up for them at the concert, and they were really good too. So yeah, I'm hoping I'd like to say they've been around since 2005, which is obviously 20 years ago. And if they're still playing at local bars, I doubt they have any ambition to ever go bigger. But man, I really wish they would, because a large venue for these dudes would be amazing.
yeah.
So yeah, if you're looking for electronic core or whatever it's called, or techno metal, then check out the Browning because one, you're gonna love their album covers. They're amazing. Um, but yeah, their metal is really good too. So yeah, I mean that's it. That's it for my number 8, the Browning.
All right. Never heard of them. All right.
You uncultured swine. I guarantee I'm gonna know all of yours.
You probably will. Yeah. So my number 8 was a band that I have seen once in concert. Amy and I went and watched them in Wichita a handful of years ago. And it is actually the only band on my list that runs a female lead singer, even though I really enjoy female
Mhm.
singer rock bands, but this is the only one that made my list for one reason or another. But the lead singer of this band is known for her booming voice, and she's worked with other bands kind of here and there, like just in helping out, the featured uh, type stuff. The band was formed in 1997, even though they really didn't really hit mainstream until 2009, and that is Hailstorm. Um, so Lizzie Hale, she's just probably has one of the biggest voices um, for rock music, and her brother is the drummer. They
Okay.
both started um, kind of the band, and obviously their last name's Hale, so that's kind of what they did this stuff. But when this album came out in 2009, this is kind of the one that really started putting them, in the mainstream and stuff. But since this album, uh, they have a total of like 5 regular albums, including this one, that have been since they've been popular. But they also do something really cool because they've put out two full albums of cover songs,
Oh, okay.
and they've done some really cool cover songs that just features her voice and stuff like that. And um, so they've done like I'm trying to find the deal real quick, but like they've done, like a Lady Gaga song that they've done, and they've done Get Lucky, that
Oh, okay.
they did a
By
rock version of
from
that. And they've just done all these different covers of songs as well and everything, but they just hit so hard. And when we went and watched them in Wichita, they they just so awesome. And her brother, that's the drummer, is just he's an excellent drummer, like probably one of the better ones I've uh listened to, because he's just, I don't know, they're just, you can tell that they're a bigger band, but they aren't too big for their britches,
hmm
like they still just adore the fans and adore, are still kind of that way.
Nice.
Their latest album, uh, surprisingly, came out in 2018. I thought it was later than that,
Yeah,
but
I thought they were more recent as well.
yeah, I mean, they came out with a stripped version of their 2018 album in 2020. But they're still touring
Interesting.
hard. I still follow them
Okay.
on online, and they tour constantly. But but yeah, I mean, this one, super super good band. If you like female led lead singers, I mean, Lizzie Hale is one of the best ones out there, um, and stuff. I mean, because I wouldn't classify this like, because I told you some bands a couple of weeks ago had female lead singers that were like, it was just scream rock, like it was
Oh,
like,
yeah.
and all that stuff. This one, you can understand everything. Like it's this is just considered rock. I mean, they have it just
Sure.
listed as rock, so
Yeah.
it's just, but no, these guys are awesome to watch live. And this is one of those bands that their live is actually almost is better than their albums, is what I've
Okay.
always thought, because they just put on a hell of a show.
Cool. Yeah, I haven't. I know who this band is. I'd be surprised if I knew any of their songs.
Right.
For some reason, I just never listened to them. But I also I like. I sometimes I actually like uh female lead singers in rock or uh power metal more than males, just because they fucking kill it.
Yeah.
So, all right, my number seven. Here's my first '90s band. Are you ready?
Okay.
This was
I've probably
actually
heard of them.
Uh, I would be shocked if you had not. And this band was actually one of the first albums that I bought with my own money. So that is
Oh
Bowling for
yeah.
Soup.
Yeah, I've
Bowling
heard
for
of them.
Soup. Yeah, I've heard of them. I hate them. They suck.
I haven't heard a ton from them. I mean, it's not like
Yeah.
a band I actively listen to, but I mean, I know who they are.
Yeah, so this is definitely pop punk, and this is one of my favorite pop punk bands. Obviously, it's at number seven. I probably know more of their songs than a lot of pop punk bands. Like I said, this was actually the album that I bought, A Hangover You Don't Deserve, this one came out in 2000. So somehow I got it when I was seven. But yeah, they're just so interesting because they're very campy and very upbeat with all their music. Um, out of they never really have any songs that are like, anti-government or I hate my dad, hate my mom, that kind of teen angst that a lot of punk songs have. They've always just been, relatively relatable, at least for me growing up in like the pop punk kind of genre of lyrics that they're singing. And unfortunately, I have never been able to catch them live. They only ever really tour like around the Texas area, And if they do go to Warped Tour, it's always at the Warped Tours that are never nearby. So it's always kind of a pain to go out and try and see them. But maybe one day, because they're still making music. Their latest album came out. I'm trying to see if I can find it. Came out in, was it 2022? Okay. So 3 years ago. Jesus Christ. It feels like they just released that album. Um, oh, Hangover You Don't Deserve came out in 2004. Sorry. So that makes a little bit more sense of why I was able to get it. Uh, but yeah, they also just, for yeah, fun fact that I don't have many of, but they do the theme song for Phineas and Ferb.
Oh, really?
Yeah, that was
Interesting.
them. But yeah, these guys are absolutely great. They always have seemed like they've loved what they're doing and just have a genuinely good time with their songs. I guess a lot of their songs are about like relationship stuff, or one of their more fun songs is they also reference a lot of pop culture and celebrities in their music. Um, but High School Never Ends is one of their more campy, like about obviously high school and how, as you continue going on through life, everything still feels like it did in high school, which is, eh, it's kind of relatable. So yeah, Bowling for Soup, fantastic pop punk band. Highly recommend them if for some reason you like pop punk and you haven't checked them out.
All right. All right. So now we're starting to hit the big time bangers now. So my number seven is a band that formed in 1994. It was initially founded as a one man project, and then he brought on the rest of the members. Um, the reason he founded this is because he was part of a really big popular band that went away, and he created his own band. And that is
Oh,
Foo
nice.
Fighters.
I've seen them live.
I have, yes. And so Dave Grohl, part of Nirvana. When Kurt Cobain died, Nirvana stopped. He shortly after that he started Foo Fighters, and they've still. I mean, they just put out an album in 23, and everything that they just keep putting out stuff, and all of it's awesome. And and David Grohl as a person I really like too. Um,
Still?
you know, well, I mean, mostly. I mean, it's like,
His last controversial was like he's like, yeah, I've been cheating on my wife.
well, I'm meaning
It's like,
like
yeah,
take
go
take that
you.
out of it, but he also likes to like he's the one he loves. One of his side things is he loves like barbecuing and like smoking stuff. So he'll go to a place and he'll just cook like for 2 days straight, and he gives all that food to homeless people in that city,
Yeah.
and stuff like that. I mean, he's just big like into helping the less fortunate. And there's also those funny videos if you look them up where the West Baptist Church or whatever, those one
Hmm.
idiots that do, like they'll be posting something and he'll pull up in like a truck in his band, and they'll pull up right in front of him, and then they'll start playing it like a live concert like right in front of him to drown out all their
Nice.
stuff and everything. He's just um but yeah, they just have so many good songs out right now. They kind of took a brief little hiatus when their drummer passed away, Taylor
Hmm.
Hawkins, a couple of years ago.
Yeah, wasn't that
Um,
was that sudden or did they
well,
know?
I think it was like I don't know I don't even know why he died. Uh,
Yeah.
if it was, I
Oh
don't think
God.
it was suicide. I thought it was drugs,
I thought
maybe,
it was
but
yeah, I thought
maybe
it was
I,
brain cancer.
and it could have been that. I mean, I can't remember right off, but they've replaced him, and and they're back to going. Um, they did.
Oh, nope, it was drugs.
Okay. But what was cool is like because David Grohl was the drummer for Nirvana.
Hmm.
So like they'll mix their setup sometimes, and he'll go back and play drums. So like they did it was a concert for the Fires, and they were doing the fundraising concert for the California stuff,
Okay.
and he popped onto the drums, and his daughter came out and sang the lead part for All Apologies from
Oh,
Nirvana. So
that's
they kind of
cool.
did a Nirvana tribute type thing and everything. So I don't know. They put on one heck of a show. They like to do the audience participation as well. There's several videos out there where he pulls up somebody from the audience and has them sing with them, or if
Yeah.
they've played guitar with them before and stuff like that. It's just
Did you
different
watch
stuff.
his Hot Ones episode with Dave Grohl?
Um, I think so.
If
It's
you
been a
haven't, you should
while.
check it out. He's like so ecstatic to be there because he
Yeah,
like I think he was saying he already loves the show. So it was like it was a really fantastic uh episode for that show. So yeah, Dave Grohl, besides the cheating part, which is like, oh come on. Like what are you
yeah,
doing? Yeah, he always seems like a pretty awesome guy.
yeah.
And their
So
music's fantastic.
I
Although I
agree.
didn't really care for their latest album. I thought it was okay.
It's fine. I mean, they're not going to hit on all of them,
Sure.
but if you think about, um, well, this one, you know,
Yeah.
uh, Monkey Wrench,
Hmm.
when you think about Monkey Wrench, and I don't know how familiar you are with that song, but there's that one part where he does the scream,
Yeah.
and it's like all without a breath. I mean, it's just
Hmm.
like so goddamn long, and I'm just like, how in the hell do you do? And then jump right into the next lyric, right into the
Yeah.
next deal. It's crazy. I don't know, but yeah, Foo Fighters.
I mean,
It's
it's the same
just
with like Chester Bennington from
yeah,
like I mean, there's the more you broaden your horizons, Bradley, the more you see that there are a bunch of vocalists out there that are insane.
oh, I know, and I've
Not
got
really in
some
any
coming
of
up.
mine, in any of my top 10. I wouldn't really
Yeah,
say any of my I definitely have some banger vocalists on here, but not pop punk isn't really known for their stellar vocals.
right.
So, but good pick. My number six is another 90s band, and they're another pop punk band. This one and Bowling for Soup can honestly go back and forth. I think Sum 41 had the most recent album that I had listened to, and unfortunately, um, I think either they have, nope, yep, there it is. They either have or they are going on their final tour. They're officially done, which is fair because I mean, their lead singer has a whole lot of health issues with and with addiction and stuff. And my number six is
Oh yeah.
Sum 41.
These guys are just a fun group to watch. Like the video for In Too Deep and stuff is hilarious.
Yeah, dude, they are like I was talking about how like Bowling for Soup is kind of like wacky and down to earth. Sum 41 is definitely about the oh God, like oh yeah, here we go. Genre, skate metal or skate punk.
Skate
Like
punk.
that is like to the T with Sum
Yeah.
41. They're kind of like they're pop punk with a lot of rap involved as well. Which is kind of like the Linkin Park of the rap and rock mixed together. I have yet to hear a pop punk band that utilizes rap as much as like Sum 41 did, but also still kept a lot of their songs. Like they're as close to true punk in a modern pop punk sense, you know?
Yeah.
Like their vibe and their energy is just insanity, especially whenever they were a lot younger, which makes sense for whenever you're like, man, what's going on with their lead singer? Why did he lose so much weight? Oh, drugs. Oh, and alcohol. Oh, how interesting. Um, but I think it was another instance of him having to go to rehab, and then they eventually came back. I have seen these guys live. It was actually at Warped Tour. Um,
I've
that
seen them
year I
too.
went to Warped Tour was awesome. It was Sum 41. Good Charlotte was also there. And I know people are probably expecting Good Charlotte to be the next band I mentioned because they're all kind of in that same vein. Good Charlotte is not on my list. Because to me, I think they only have one good album, and the rest of their albums are just okay. And I wanted to put bands on here that I like either a majority, if not all of their albums. And Sum 41 just has banger after banger for them. But yeah, like their energy, especially whenever it's they're older, older albums are just kind of all over the place. It feels like it's all over the place, but it's actually still very synchronized and choreographed extremely well. Um, and their latest album, which was what was it called?
Was that one
Yeah,
Heaven and Hell?
yeah,
Okay.
yeah, Heaven and Hell or
Yeah.
Heaven Exhale, what like
Yeah.
however it's actually pronounced, was incredibly good. I was honestly kind of surprised at how good it was, especially because you think of Sum 41 and their 90s kind of style. And it's like, yeah, are they going to be able to keep up with that? They definitely don't keep that feel. Um, it definitely leaned a lot more into, I mean, still pop punk, but a little bit heavier, a lot more toned down. But I think it was still really good. I was gonna say great and good, really good, especially like a solid album to end on, like to go on tour and finally be like, you know what, we're done. And I mean, since 90, what I say, 94,
Think so.
96, whichever, early 90s or late 90s, I definitely don't blame them. So yeah, there's is the second to last pop punk band on my list. And I was honestly surprised that they ended up at number six because, I mean, with all the pop punk that I have, like on shuffle or whatever, it just all kind of intermingles into one. But every time Sum 41 comes on, I'm just like, I never skip it. I'm like, yep, okay, here we go. This is the lyrics I'm gonna be singing and listening to.
Yeah.
So
Yeah,
that's mine.
these guys are really good.
Nice.
Not on
Got
my list.
one.
Not on my list.
I,
But
I would be surprised. You're like, man, I'm a huge Sum 41 fan.
yeah. All right. So my number six is a band that formed in the mid 80s, but they didn't really start really picking up until early 90s. Um, and it's interesting because when I was just researching this band just a little bit ago, because I didn't really know how they started, they have probably one of the greatest lead singers of all time. Um, and
Yeah, we just
well,
talked about Freddie Mercury. Come on.
this guy's right up there. I mean, as far as rock voice, and how and everything. But
Mick Jagger.
funny thing
Wow.
was,
Rolling Stones on your
you know,
list.
when this band started, he actually was the singer drummer. I didn't realize that. And then he moved to rhythm guitar and singer when they got an actual drummer. But unfortunately, he's not with us anymore, and the band really is not a thing anymore. And that is Soundgarden and Chris Cornell. Um, Chris
Fantastic.
Cornell was the voice of the '90s grunge deal. I mean, whether it was with Soundgarden, whether it was with Audio Slave, Temple of the Dog, all that stuff. They went through, and I've seen these guys twice. I had a chance to watch them um, like 3 days before he passed because they played in Kansas City, and then
Nice.
the very next show is when he committed suicide. So
That's
I
brutal.
wish I would have went to
Oh,
it.
you didn't go?
No, I did,
Oh,
a couple of my friends did, but I didn't end up going, and I wish I would have at this point.
yeah.
But you know, this was it's just one of those bands, that just genre defining, uh, grunge, you know, hard rock bands.
Hmm.
There's so many songs that they put out. Um, with this album, Super Unknown, with Black Hole Sun and all that stuff on it, and Spoon Man and all this different stuff. They just hit all the time, and in this band, after he passed, they don't do anything anymore. But the drummer Matt Cameron, that was with these guys, after this band dissipated, Matt Cameron went to Pearl Jam, and he's Pearl Jam's actually drummer right now.
Oh, okay.
And what's cool is like all these bands, because the Seattle rock scene, Nirvana, Soundgarden, Pearl Jam, and all that stuff. It's interesting how their members kind of were fluid throughout, and you see that with a lot of different stuff over the years. But yeah, I mean, this band is just top notch, and probably one of the, we talk about vocals with stuff, and
Hmm.
um, Chris Cornell did that unplugged version of well, he's done unplugged with a lot of stuff, Black Hole Sun and everything, but he did that one song by oh gosh, Sinead O'Connor, Nothing Compares to You or whatever.
Okay.
And that's one of the, like, if you haven't checked it out, find that and just listen to it. And there's like, it's just him with a guitar doing that song by himself, and his voice is it. Like it showcases how masterful he was at his uh, singing and stuff. And of all the bands on my list, I mean, take away Freddie Mercury. I mean, because Freddie Mercury was here, but
Yeah.
like Chris Cornell is the voice of my era and stuff. And if he wouldn't have passed, um, they this band probably could have, because everything they put out, I was following. They easily could have been higher on this list even if
Yeah.
they were still a thing. But yeah, I mean
Yeah.
that's
I mean, I agree. I agree. Soundgarden is definitely one of the greats, and it's definitely a shame with his passing because it's like, I mean, just a fantastic artist to lose. And then shortly after was Chester, because like
yeah.
if I remember right, they were like super close. So it's like it was like just both of them almost back to back was just wild. And then you
Well,
go back and then you listen to their but like both of their songs and you're like, yeah, there are some signs here with these lyrics like Jesus Christ, how did we not see it?
so
Um,
yeah, Chris Cornell died in May of 2017, which is
okay.
crazy. And then Chester was July of 2017,
That's right. Yeah.
just a couple months apart.
Yeah. I knew it was close. I didn't know it was that close. And yeah, it definitely sucks because they they were just, I mean, now they live on through just sheer
Hmm.
admiration, and it's just like luckily that's why this medium is so powerful because they're gone, their music just stands the test of time.
Yeah, and
So,
there's an album that came out. Well, I say a couple of years ago. It's probably a little bit longer than that. The way time goes, but it's a Chris Cornell album. It's like a 3 disc album. You can get it on Apple Music or wherever, and it's like all the greatest hits. So it's all his stuff, greatest hits from Soundgarden, from Audio Slave, Temple of the Dog. It's his unplugged songs. It's rare stuff that was
okay,
never released, and stuff like that. It's a really really cool album.
that's cool. Okay. Yeah, fantastic pick. Okay, my number 5 is my solo artist, and he is definitely the one that I know the least of. Um, like especially because his Wikipedia that I'm looking at has like 2 paragraphs on it. But he is the one that I've discovered the most recently, and he has 4 albums, and they are absolutely phenomenal. And this is Amigo the Devil.
No,
That's what he
never
looks like. This is a
heard.
self-portrait. Yeah, he's a monster. Um, Amigo the Devil, this is like the genre that they're putting him in, and I think that this kind of defines it. His music is influenced by American folk, country, rock, and heavy metal, with themes of murder, death, and other dark subject matters, and that his music is called dark folk or murder folk. And
Nice.
that's not to say that he is it's not like heavy metal. I mean it is just folk music that goes into extremely dark topics. And not that this is correlated at all, but I happened to find this guy around the time I was getting divorced. Uh and it was just weird at that timing because I mean one of his songs on this latest album um it's called, I think it's this one. I think it's called The Garden of Leaving. I'd have to listen to that again, but I am almost positive that that song here, let me see if I can actually pull it up and see if I can find the um find the lyrics just to yep, that's the one. The song is about a couple coming back from the hospital after it was either a miscarriage or a stillbirth or their child died after. I think stillbirth is whenever it is
Yeah,
born dead. Okay. Um, it's one of those. I haven't, but they lose their child, and the song is about their feelings of when they get home, and it is gut wrenching. Like I don't even have kids, and I'm like, this is fucked up. And my friend who actually introduced him to me just had his daughter, and they couldn't finish the song. So that's the subject matter that he sings about. And I mean, not all of his songs are like that, but he has um he has one that is definitely higher and upbeat about a man who or yeah, a man whose wife was just murdered and the killer kills himself. So he goes to hell to have the devil bring him back so he can kill him. And the devil's like, he's not here, man. He's up in heaven. So then he goes to heaven to kill God. He's like, get out of my way. I'm gonna find that guy. So those are the kinds of songs that he has. They're incredibly creative. The I know all musicians, like the ones we're bringing, are artists, but man, the lyrics that these guys that he writes are they're just almost like none other that I have on my list.
yeah,
So if you were into, I mean, I definitely think he leans more folk than country. Um, but if you are into that kind of music, his voice is awesome. If you like the folk instrumentals that he has are also top notch. So so yeah, I I really enjoy this guy, but at the same time, I'm not like, ooh, let me put on that song, Garden of Leaving. I want to listen to that. But yeah, I've ran through a lot of his discographies multiple times just because it's banger after banger. So yeah,
all right. Well, that was depressing. So,
don't worry,
so,
it's all up here. It's a perfect
so,
segue and like right in the middle of the road. But
so I'm
yeah,
gonna go ahead.
yeah, I was gonna say I definitely wanted to have a lot of variety because there's pop punk, and then Amigo, and then folk. Because I didn't go through and I wasn't like, okay, I want to have country, I want to have metal, I want to have. I was just like, here are my top 10 favorite bands at this point in time, and he landed in number five.
Interesting. Well, I'm gonna lighten the mood a little bit, and this is my only band that hits that pop punk, skate punk uh, deal. Um, they were formed in the late 80s, but their album that came out in 1994, that was right when I was in high school. And it was just one of those bands that stuck with me, and they just every album they put out after that was has been awesome. They even came out with one in 2024 that was really good as well. Um, and if you're ever in a bad mood, I just love putting these on because they're just upbeat and snappy and everything. And that is Green Day.
Ah, nice.
Um, this being the album that came out in '94 that when I was in high school, like I said. But yeah, with Billy Joe Armstrong, and all, the way they just hit and they just everything's fast paced. There's catchy songs. They're all over the place. They are a big time anti-establishment,
Hmm.
anti-government kind of thing. They're constantly,
Still,
yeah,
they modify their lyrics at their
yep,
concerts.
yep. And but yeah, they've pretty much been the same. I mean, I know they replaced their drummer at one point, but they've pretty much stayed the same most of their careers. And when I heard they were putting out their Saviors album in 2024, I mean, you start worrying if some of these bands when they start getting older like this, it's like, okay, are they just putting music out? But this one, there was like three or four songs on that album that are just awesome.
Nice.
Dilemma and all that stuff. And
I haven't
Um,
listened to them since 21 Guns, I think is what the
yeah,
album was called, and I haven't really liked them since then. So I'd be interested to know what they sound like now.
it's the
Um,
same. I
is
mean,
it?
yeah, they sound the same as they always have. I mean, that's the
I
thing.
don't
It's
think so. At least 21 Guns didn't. That album they really kind of, I don't know, it didn't hit the same
well,
like
21 Guns was a song.
well
That
yeah, sorry,
was
whatever album that was.
Nimrod would have been the
Nimrod.
album that was on.
Yeah.
But
Um yeah,
yeah,
'cause I came into them with American Idiot
well, that's
and
one of my favorite songs by them.
oh yeah, no that I've actually recently
That's
listened to that album and
yeah.
I'm like, man, it's that one is still a great album. But anything before then too is I think is really good. Uh, I don't know. I don't know. Maybe somewhere along the way they just kind of lost me or or whatever. But yeah, out of pop punk, they're not. They're kind of like my least favorite pop
Yeah,
punk
and
band.
they're the like I said, they're the only one on mine. There was a couple that I was close to putting on, like um this isn't gonna ruin anything, but like bands like Blink 182,
Okay,
stuff like that. Like they were on my short list,
gotcha.
and stuff like that. But this one was the main one. I think it's
You
just
don't have the
maybe
Ramones. You don't have the
no.
Ramones on your list, or
No, I mean I like the Ramones. I
I do
don't
too.
they're not on. But yeah, this one, I think just because when these guys came out, I think that's
Hmm.
why I just kept listening to them from that point
Yeah,
on. And I've watched them once, and they put on a good show. And but yeah, I mean Green Day. There you
cool,
go.
cool. All right, keeping with the pop punk theme. My number four is a band you literally just mentioned.
Oh, really?
Yeah. You're like, it's not gonna ruin anything. Well, here we go. My number four is Blink 182.
Yes.
God. These guys came out in 1992.
Yep.
Um, oh, okay. So it says, and then they ended in 2005. Yeah, because they broke up
Okay.
because,
He had
um,
cancer.
is that what it was?
Yeah, the lead singer guy, the main guy had cancer really bad, and they dissipated. And then they came back after he.
Well, then I know they broke up again, or Mark left because he went, I want to say it was Mark. Which one? One of them went psycho and started like really getting into like actual alien conspiracy theories.
Not really.
And they're like, and so he left. But then I think now they're all back together. And this was the band that I actually had bought tickets to go see, but then they got insanely sick. They were actually at Gen Con like in Indianapolis. They weren't at Gen Con, but they were in Indianapolis while Gen Con was going on, and that's where he got sick because the next week I was supposed to go see him live, and he canceled. And I'm like, well, that sucks. Um, but yeah, kind of like we were talking about with Green Day, these guys have been virtually the exact same. Obviously toned down from some of their earlier
Yeah.
shenanigans, but man, they have just had banger after banger with their discography, with their songs of um oh God. I mean, because they range from, just like, crazy teen romance, like First Date, and then they're serious songs like Stay Together for the Kids. That's about, kids trying to understand why their parents, aren't getting along and why they have like dealing with divorce. To their most recent album. I'm trying to find it real quick. Yeah, One More Time. I was just, I was just looking. Uh, one of their tours, their headlining was called Poo Poo Pee Pee Tour.
Yeah.
I don't think they're doing now. Their latest tour was just called their One More Time tour,
And I
and then
didn't
they have the Mark.
necessarily really care for the newest album a whole lot.
Really?
I
Oh
mean,
man,
there's a couple of songs on there, but there's a lot I just didn't care for.
yeah. Um, I love their newest album. It was actually I thought Nine, the one that came before that, was just okay. And it could just be because like One More Time has a song, One More Time, um, that just kind of hits more home for me. Where it's like, growing up and the parting of friendships
Hmm.
and um that one just kind of really hit home for me, and the rest of the songs I think are also really good. But I remember growing up, a friend of mine burned a CD to you kids out there, burning a CD, no,
Yes.
making a mixtape. Uh, but he burned the Mark, Tom, and Travis show, and I had to hide that from my mom because it's so vulgar, it's so over the top that might have been a little bit of what, formed my some of my humor and my comedy was from these guys. But yeah, I think that they've just kind of kept the formula going. They have amazing, and like a lot of pop punk bands don't really hit serious songs all that well. And I
Right.
think Blink-182 does a really good job of dealing with that, as well as making just really wacky, over the top kind of songs as well. So Blink-182, probably the most famous or the most popular pop punk band that I have on my list. And I can promise you this is my last pop punk. Yes, that
We'll
is my
see.
last. Nope, it's done. I know the rest. Uh, these are my top. These are my favorite pop punk band.
All right. Good choice. Like I said, they were on my short list. So,
Nice.
all right. My number four, I've seen them once. These guys they formed in 82, but they really hit mainstream and got popular in 1991 with the release of this album. And they're a Cali band, California. They're considered alternative. I call them alternative grunge. It just depends on how you go with it. But that is Red Hot
Oh,
Chili Peppers.
nice.
Um, this album, there's so many albums I like of these guys, but Blood Sugar Sex Magic in 1991 was their kind of coming out party. That was the one that had Under the Bridge
Okay.
and all that stuff, which was their first single that really put them out there. Um, this album, just is loaded with like pretty much every song on this album is one that's is on
That's like
rotation. Like on,
mainstream. Yeah.
yeah. So
Yeah,
it's
that's
like,
true.
but they have strong the personalities of the band members is what's cool with this because Anthony Kiedis, is your lead singer and he's just like in your face type stuff. But you also have Flea, who is just a weirdo, but he's like been in movies, he's done different stuff. I mean, he's
Yeah.
kind of done everything, but these guys hit a lot of spectrums because they can go tender and slow. They can go
Hmm.
really in your face, like harder stuff. They've even went a little bit punky on us on a few things. It's like they just kind of move around quite a bit, and they're still touring strong right now. I think I don't know when was their last album. Let's see
Funny
here.
enough, whenever I was going to Oregon, we listened to a lot of Red Hot Chili Peppers
Hmm.
when we were driving around. I don't know. I mean, I don't know why, but that's just what my girlfriend wanted to listen to. And I'm like, I mean, I don't dislike them at all. So,
Yeah, it looks like in 2022 they came out with their last album,
okay.
but I actually haven't listened to that one. I didn't even know it came out. Well, how about that? I'll
That
have to
happens
look
actually
it.
quite a few times. I'm just like,
Yeah.
there's a new album out? Oh, I gotta listen to it.
But well, because I listen, like when I listen to the satellite radio, I listen to Lithium, and it's a um, 90s grunge station.
Okay.
And so, but they don't play any of the new stuff. It's like they only play the stuff that was in the 90s. So I don't catch a lot of the new stuff every now and again when it comes out,
Gotcha.
unless I know about it just from social media and stuff. But yeah, I mean, these guys went in 1991 when this album came out. 1991 was probably like the greatest year for my kind of music
Okay.
because all my favorite bands put out like their first album like right around then. In 1991 it was just like bang 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 bang, all these huge albums coming out at that time, and
Yeah.
I
And
think
these
that's
guys are
why.
so unique with
Uh-huh.
their cadence and their style.
Right. Yeah. And I'd like to see these guys again before they stop. I'm not sure how long they
Hmm.
plan on going, but I'd like to see them again because it was a long time ago when I watched them. Um, but but yeah, I mean, Red Hot Chili Peppers are one of those classic rock bands that has stood the test of time.
Cool. Yeah, I agree. That's a great pick. All right. My number three. You said you only had one band on your list that's a female vocalist.
Yes.
Okay, same. This is my pick for a power metal band with a female vocalist. And an old friend of mine just kind of played them randomly while we were putting together Kingdom Death Monster miniatures.
Gosh.
And I remember he was playing a song, and I was sitting there like, God damn, like this is fucking good. And they've been one of my favorites ever since. Their albums, what's fantastic about their albums, well, my number three is Unleash the Archers. Do you know who they are?
No.
Okay. You need to listen to them. I think I've told you to listen
You've
to
told me,
them.
I just haven't had a
Okay.
chance to yet.
Um, their albums, Apex and Jesus Christ, and Abyss are conceptual albums as they tell an overall story throughout um throughout the discography or throughout the album. Apex is the one that I had started listening to, but then I've gone back to listen to them, and I believe they used to have a male vocalist, and then Brittany, the now lead vocalist, took over. I think she was either always in the band, um, or actually, there's a timeline. Yep. So she's always been with them, and now she's basically just and then the guy, he chumps in every now and then. In Abyss, he kind of does. They have like a duel, a few songs where they both sing, which is actually really, really good. Um, she is insane. She is so fucking good, and the rest of the members are also really good. But yeah, they're kind of high, not necessarily high fantasy, but their fantasy style of storytelling, I think, is really cool. I've always loved the idea of like kind of taking their album and like making it into like a D&D campaign because it's really awesome whenever you actually read the lyrics and you're like, oh, huh, there's actually like lore going on. And their latest album, which is called Phantoma, that came out last year, is a similar style, but it's more tech. Like it's at least it's about it's more sci-fi than fantasy. But yeah, like she has like one song in particular from Time Stands Still, called Test Your Metal that is like the best. Like whenever I'm trying to showcase her voice, that's the song that I pick. And then they
Yeah.
have a single called oh God, is it Northwest Passage that is also kind of incredibly clean and Viking-esque Norse kind of feeling that also just showcases how amazing of a vocalist she is. So in the combination of just all their songs being amazing, Britney being amazing, their music being amazing, I really love the fact that they're like conceptual albums that tell a story throughout the whole time. So that's it. And they're a Canadian band, as apparently.
Interesting.
So
All right, yeah,
that's
I'll
my
check them out at some point.
yeah, you should. If you like Hailstorm, I'd be very surprised if you did not like them.
Yeah, yeah. All right. Well, my number three is another just outstanding band that's no longer a band. Um, their their big break album also came out in 1991. So this was I'll just tell you right now from my four, three, two, and one. Their first big breakthrough album all came out in 91.
Oh, okay.
Like so that was that year that I was telling you that was just such a crazy year. But this band was another one of those that a genre defining band. The lead singer was one of those forward thinker, kind of ahead of his time deals. He's not with us anymore.
Okay.
Um, and but there's documentaries out about him, and they're very interesting to watch and just see the pain this guy was in constantly. But anyway, number three is Nirvana. Um,
Yep.
I didn't put the other cover because I didn't know what YouTube would think about having a naked baby's dick on the screen.
That's fucking fair.
So I just put
I don't even want to see that cover.
so I
Like,
so I put this one on there just because. But
yeah.
but yeah, these guys, so much came from this, and bands have taken the stuff from these guys and have used it, as inspiration throughout the years. Dave Grohl, like I spoke earlier, was the drummer for this band, and
Yeah.
After Kurt Cobain committed suicide, Dave Grohl started Foo Fighters and went from there.
Hmm.
But these guys are, you can just hear, like, when you listen to these guys, the pain that Kurt was dealing with. Like, he just was just so much in the lyrics, and so much he just left it out there. There's
Hmm.
I don't know if you've watched any of the documentaries with him. There's one that's on streaming that came out a couple of years ago, and I think there's one that's getting ready to come out, another one. But it's
Okay.
all this just stuff, and it had a lot of, because his wife was Courtney Love from Hole.
Yeah, she
So,
murdered him.
well, maybe. I used to think that, but after watching these documentaries and stuff, I don't believe that anymore.
No, I no, that is clearly like me just like
Well, no, I mean,
throwing like 'cause I
I
know that
really
was
thought
like
that back in
the
the day.
yeah, that was what the conspiracy was.
But yeah, so he was just such a tortured soul.
Hmm.
Um, but he just, his creativity and everything was just so crazy. Like, that album, Nevermind, the first one in 91, like, every single song on that album is awesome.
Yeah.
You know, this album, most of them are awesome. That, one of their other most famous albums was their MTV Unplugged album, and it's all the acoustic versions of these songs, and that was awesome. It's just these guys. I was talking about satellite radio earlier, that Sirius XM, the channel I
Yeah.
listened to, that 90s grunge, is called Lithium, and
Oh, okay.
it's named after one of these guys' songs. I mean, it's like,
Yeah.
and they, it's, I don't know, man. It's these guys. I don't know what would they would have been like now. Um,
Like you think he was tortured back then, dude.
I
Fucking be
know.
miserable.
Yeah, so I don't know what it's like, but I know that I just saw a thing, interestingly enough, on social media last night, that his daughter actually just had a kid not too long ago. So,
Oh, really?
stuff like that and everything. So, there was a lot of angst, because, like, back in Seattle, when and around this time when all these bands were forming,
Hmm.
this band and my favorite band did not get along at all.
Really?
And
Oh,
everything.
that's
Like,
that
they
is
were totally against each other
huh.
and stuff. So, uh, but
I
yeah,
wonder why.
well, I think it's because back then the whole grunge scene was like, you're not gonna go, we're not mainstream. We're like, you know, and all
It's kind
that.
of like the pop punk, like the punk to the
Right.
modern,
And
yeah,
these
modern establishment. Yeah.
and these guys accused my number one of going mainstream, even though
Gotcha.
they really weren't. It was just kind of a weird deal. But anyway, uh, so my number three is Nirvana. I mean, this is will always be one of my favorites, just because everything they do is good.
Yeah. Nirvana was a band that I actually used to actively dislike
Hmm.
growing up. And as I got older, um like I've come to both respect and enjoy them a lot more.
Yeah,
Um
and I was 16 when I watched these guys before his death, because
okay.
he died in 94.
Yeah. Oh wow. Okay. I thought it was a little bit after I was born, but nope, guess not.
So,
All right, great pick. My number two used to be my favorite band. So years ago they would have been my number one. And they probably could have been if they actually continued to make music. They still do shows, but I think it's literally only in St. Louis because they originated in St. Louis. So I have two bands in my top 10 that are extremely local.
It's 50 Cent.
Uh, yeah, it is. God, actually, I have no rap on my top 100. I guess kind of. It's thrown in with some 41.
Yeah.
These are not. It is not a pop punk band. They are called pop rock or alternative rock, and that is Ludo.
No idea.
Ludo. So kind of whenever I was talking about with Unleash the Archers, Ludo is another type of um I really want to give him like nerdy like nerdy rock because his his writing is so nerdy that it is an absolute blast. And I believe he was actually trained classically uh and his voice what's his name? I'm trying to find it real quick. Yeah, I think it's Andrew Volpe is just so clean and talented that it is an absolute joy to listen to. They actually have an album called Broken Bride, which is another conceptual. It's like a rock opera that, from my understanding, yeah, about a man who travels backward and forward through time in an attempt to save his wife from dying in a car accident in 1989. Um, and it's a four-part song that is just incredible, or a four-part album. But yeah, they just don't make uh like make albums anymore. Like their last album, it looks like came out in 2010. So, but they still do like shows, like they call it like Who Ludoween, I think is what it's called. But their self-titled album, their You're Awful, I Love You album, and their Prepare the Preparations, and then Broken Bride, which is their rock opera, are just absolutely fantastic. Like I have listened to all of their songs so many times, and like one of their singles, Love Me Dead, is just fantastic. That really showcases the range of his. But yeah, his the writing of a lot of his songs are just very storytelling-esque and creative. And then some songs are incredibly creepy. Like he has one that's written from the point of view of a stalker. Um, and it's just they're incredibly creative. I love their music, and one of their love songs called Anything for You is one of my absolute favorite songs ever written. So yeah, Ludo, if you haven't heard of them, this was actually shown to me by a coworker when I used to work in Vintage Stock because it was her favorite band, and then I just kind of kept listening to them. I really wish they would still make music. Like, I don't know why they don't, but they don't. So, if I mean, it says years active, 2001 to 2012, then they took a hiatus, and then 2018 to present. So maybe, I mean, I know they released a single called Scare Me in 20, well, I guess that was in 2020. So maybe it has been I thought that was the latest one. They've actually released two more, Hey Friends and An Italian Werewolf in St. Louis. So I guess I'll have to listen to both of those. But yeah, that's my number two, Ludo.
All right. Never heard of them. So my number two is a band that they formed in 91 and their album came out in 91. Well, there's a little bit of a deal. Their first album came out in 91/92 because there was a demo version that came out in 91 and then the full scale release was 92. So depends on how you want to look at it. But they only put out four albums. Their last
Okay.
album was in 2000. They broke up, and then around the time of COVID, they decided they were going to kind of do a reunion tour. Nobody ever thought they were going to reunite again. Um, I've seen them once. I'd like to see them again, because especially if they're going to keep touring now more. But they are considered rap metal, or however you want to go with that.
Okay.
They're very, very anti-government and anti-establishment, and that is
Oh,
Rage Against the Machine.
I also used to hate this band, but I've
Really?
come around, yeah, very recently. Them and Beastie Boys.
Yeah.
Like I was
Yeah.
like, these guys fucking suck. And then nope, I've come around.
Now, Zach De La Roca, the lead singer of these guys, man, is so talented. He hits that, that rap and stuff, but they're just are so heavy, and the anger, everything is like, that's why I wish they would come out with another album now, because
Oh man,
the way the
yeah.
world is now, man, they it's just fodder for these guys. Like they could just go totally,
It's printing
well,
money really at this
yeah,
point for their album.
because they are insane with anti-government stuff, and Killing in the Name of is still my favorite song by them.
Hmm.
um but but yeah, I mean, these guys, every one of their 4 albums they put out is just start to finish just absolutely insane. They put on a hell of a show, and they've put out some live albums, but the you know the studio albums, they've only had these 4, this one being their first one. um but yeah, it's one of those, if you're in a mood to be aggressive, this is a good one to listen to. If
Or
you're
if you're needing
feeling
some motivation to go to some protest or
right,
to
right.
really, you're like, you know what? Maybe it's not that bad. You start getting, lethargic. Yeah, probably listen to some Rage Against the Machine. You're like, you know what? Never mind.
Yeah, I mean, these guys are, I just love just listening to these guys, and they just are so powerful, and so every song they do has a point. Like, if you sit
This
about it,
album,
it's,
this album cover is brutal.
yeah, yeah, but every single song they release has a meaning to it, about some sort of a social statement,
Okay.
um, and everything. And the Renegades album, the one that came out in 2000, was one of those that, it had several covers on it, um, that they were like protest songs from times of the past, and they put
Hmm.
their spin on it and everything too, and everything. And it's super, super, super good. These guys are just, I kind of hope deep down that they throw out another album, since they kind of reunited, because the lead, Zach De La Roca, kind of creatively left the band because he wanted to do other stuff, and then
Okay.
they just kind of stopped. That happened like around 2000, and everybody was like, we're never gonna get to see him again. And then they just decided they were gonna do a tour, so maybe we'll see. But Tom Morello,
Okay.
their guitarist, is one of those outstanding guitarists that kind of has that unique sound. It's like that scratchy sound when he plays the guitar and stuff, and yeah, these
Tom
guys are,
Morello.
yeah, Tom Morello. He has his own show on Lithium too, that channel I listen to. And but like, if you
Why
listen to
did
the
I think he
guitar,
was with a different band?
I mean, he's done like, Tom Morello did, oh gosh, he's had some side projects, but he did, oh God,
Hold
what was
on.
his main one? It was the
I,
Night
dude, I,
Watchman. The Night Watchman. He's done, is the band that he's
yeah, no,
kind of been stuck with.
I'm stupid. I was like, I was thinking Tom Morello was Billy Corgan.
Oh God.
And
No.
I'm like, because I was like, I was quickly thinking of like who Tom Morello looked like,
Mhm.
which is not even that's not even Billy Corgan. So, um, I'm just stupid.
Well, and I made a comment earlier about how a lot of the, bands kind of merged, around this time and stuff,
Hmm.
and did, like when Audio Slave came out. Tom Morello was the guitarist for Audioslave with Chris
Okay.
Cornell and everything, so they kind of mixed in there and stuff too. But yeah, I mean, this is speaking of Smashing Pumpkins, they were another on my super short list,
Okay.
as well as like Stone Temple
I
Pilots. Those were ones that were like right there on the edge.
okay. Apparently, Billy Corgan and Bill Burr are like estranged,
Oh
like
God, Bill Burr
brothers.
the comedian.
Yeah. Like, and I don't know if it was a bit or if that's actually true, but I think Howie from whatever the America's Got Talent, Howie
Oh yeah, Howie
Mandel
Mandel. Yeah,
he like had Bill Burr on his talk show, and then he also had Billy Corgan show up, and it was like he was trying to just pull a fast one on him, and they were pissed. I don't know
yeah.
how true that is. That I was just like, huh, what a weird situation. But yeah, great pick. So I'm really, because I know where your number one is. I'm really
I know what your
upset
number one
that
is too.
you weren't like, uh, that you're like, oh, all my bands are from the '90s, um, which I don't even think the band I was thinking of was from the '90s. But I was really hoping you'd throw in some Creed.
Oh God, no.
Oh, they are. Yeah, 1994 to
Yeah,
2004. I was really hoping you were gonna pull an old fast one and talk about how you love Creed,
I
the
don't hate
Christian.
them. I don't get where the hate comes from. I mean, I
So
like their stuff. I don't. They're not my favorite.
yeah. So funny enough, Tom Grossi, for people who don't know, he's a NFL, like a Packers YouTuber that we watch. They were talking about Creed, him and Brandon Perna. Um, and they had a really good theory that the reason why people hate Creed or Nickelback is because they were so popular at the time that all you had to listen to was the fucking radio. So their music was constantly playing, that it's like you just kind of develop a hatred for anything that's popular and constantly playing. And now there's like a resurgence for those where it's like now I can pick what I listen to at any given time. And Creed has also embraced like the memes about them.
Yeah.
So it's I don't really understand where they I don't think their songs are that good, but I'm also not
No, that's
super
why they're not.
Christian.
Yeah, and I wouldn't even know they were Christian rock, to be honest with you. That first album, I never really got that out of
Yeah.
it. You know, and then and I don't really hate Nickelback either. I mean,
Oh, I don't hate Nickelback either. I've seen
yeah,
Nickelback live and they were
yeah,
awesome.
yeah. So I don't know, but
So, with that being said, my number one is Nickelback. No,
yeah,
it's,
I know who your number one is.
no one else will.
No,
That's for
nobody else will, but
sure.
I know because I knew it was going to be on your list at some point.
Yeah. Yeah, my number one, without a doubt, like I said, Ludo could have been number one, but my number one keeps making music, and I just absolutely, I've seen them live. Actually, out of everyone on my top 10, I've seen them live the most. I'm actually getting ready to see them live again next month, and that is Ninja Sex Party, which you would never think is like a serious band. And they started out as an internet comedy band, where if I were to show you some of their earlier music videos, you'd be like, what the fuck is this? But they have, I mean, so Dan Avidan and Brian Wecht. Brian, I think it's Wecht is how he pronounces it. Actually has oh God, what is he has a insane degree. Um, Let me see if I can find what it is. Yep, he is a theoretical physicist, and
Interesting.
he doesn't do that anymore. And he is in a band as Ninja Brian, where he plays music, but he doesn't talk. His whole shtick in all the music videos is he doesn't talk. Um, like this duo, Dan Avidan is the lead singer, has one of the most magical voices in all of his songs. They have two cover albums. That a lot of their cover albums for me, I think are better than the original. You would probably hard disagree, but they're so fantastic. They cover on every cover album, they cover Rush, at least one Rush song, 'cause that's his favorite band. And he has a few albums with another duo called the Super Guitar Bros. And he did a cover of Black Hole Sun that was phenomenal, and that's acoustic. And yeah, so I mean, he's been in other band group Skyhill and other stuff, but he is with a Let's Play group called Game Grumps that throughout my college years, that's what I constantly listened to. So that's how I learned of Ninja Sex Party was while I was in college, and I've just stuck with them ever since. The Prophecies, I believe, their latest album. No, sorry, These Nuts. These Nuts came out last year. The Prophecy was the year before that. But they've released 6 albums. Oh no, they have 3 cover albums. I forgot they have 3. And it looks like they're making a 4th one to come out this year. Well, that's awesome. Um, but yeah, so with Dan being on the Let's Play channel, Game Grumps, like you get to learn more about who he is as a person, and he's such a wholesome person that helps tremendously. He's fantastic live. Um his songs range from just being incredibly comical and legitimately funny, at least in my opinion, to being really like really, really good covers. So yeah, I mean, I have tons of their albums that are signed. Every time they release one, I buy one and get it signed. And luckily, last time I went and saw them, it was actually the acoustic tour, which was still really good. Um, but this year they're actually going and doing a regular tour with another band called Twerp. Um, and I'm very excited to see them again because whenever I first saw them, it was amazing. So, unfortunately, I do not have a hat. The hat I'm wearing is Starbomb, which is a side project that he's in with the guy he does Game Grumps with, and that's more all video game based music. So yeah, I mean, Wikipedia has them as comedy rock, synth rock, electric rock, definitely synth, like based off of 80s synth music. And a lot of their songs are very wacky and funny and, you know, borderline childish. But if you want to see the range of his actual vocals, there are 3 cover albums out that are all phenomenal. And then he also has other music with other bands. He's in a lot of stuff. So, yeah, Ninja Sex Party is my favorite band of all time.
Yeah, this would have been the one Emily was talking about
Yep.
when she says, "What
Yeah.
the
And
hell
she's
is he
like, what does
listen
he
to?"
listen to? It's just porn. It's just the porn soundtrack that I listen
Bow,
to.
chicka,
Oh,
bow, bow.
right. It's the it's that on loop. It's my favorite. So yeah. Like I highly like if you're like, what is this? It sounds stupid. It does sound stupid, but like I'm not kidding where I say that he actually is a phenomenal
Mhm.
singer. And Torp is also very I wouldn't say techno, very synth wave rock. They're awesome as well. So the instrumentals that are accompanied um with Ninja Sex Party is very good. And then, of course, because he's on the internet and he started off as an internet comedy thing, there's a lot of uh, other popular Let's Players or people that are thrown in, like
Right.
Jacksepticeye is in his music videos, and Markiplier is in his music videos. Probably people that you're like, who the fuck are they? They're all people that so
Right.
I'm gonna be 32 this year, and I learned them whenever I was 20. So people who have been growing up with Game Grumps would definitely know all of those people that are thrown in. So it's just the stuff that I still stick around, and it's very near and dear to my heart. So I love Ninja Sex Party.
All right. I will have to just try listening to them to see.
I can the comedy ones I don't think would make much sense to you. Because some of them are very much more for like, oh hey, this includes uh Jacksepticeye, like I said. But their Under the Covers album, I think, would be your best bet.
Okay. All right. You know who my number one is.
I do, but I don't want to
Yeah.
steal your thunder, so you can
So
you can
my number one is when they came out with their first album in 1991. From that day, it's been hooked. This has been my favorite band since that day. They have 12 studio albums. Um, they were my bucket list because of all of these bands that I've seen in concert. These guys eluded me for several years until about 3 years ago. I finally got to see them once. We traveled to Minnesota and spent an ungodly amount of money to watch them, and then we went to Chicago last year at Wrigley Field and watched them, and that is Pearl Jam.
The ones who
There
went
is
mainstream.
well, so there is no other bands on this list that I would pay the money I spent to go, because I got Amy into really liking these guys too, and we would spend anywhere from $1,600 to $1,800 just on tickets to go watch these guys. Um, and so that's how we spent 1,600 to go to Minnesota to watch them, and then we spent 18 to go to Wrigley and watch them.
Wow.
But yeah, these guys, Eddie Vedder and all those guys like that. For some reason, this band just is the perfect band for me. And what's cool about them is they've been going since '91, so that's been what 34 years. Not 30.
Yeah.
Yeah. And they're all the same members. like like the
Yeah.
drummer got replaced very early, like right around the time the first album came out, with Matt Cameron, who came from Soundgarden.
Oh, okay.
So these guys have been together for that whole time, and it's just they're still putting out, like they just put an album out it's in 2024, Dark Matter.
Oh, okay. I was
That
about to
that
ask what their last
Yeah,
album was.
and that album is probably one of their better ones. Like
Cool.
they're still hitting hard, and that's what their whole tour was. It was the Dark Matter tour and all that. They've transcended the just music, like their song Future Days is featured as the predominant song of my favorite video game. Sorry. Hey, shut up. Shut up. Hey, be quiet. So anyway, but the Last of Us 2, the song, there's a song that just goes with that's the theme of that whole game, is one of the Pearl Jam songs, Future Days.
Okay.
So it's the whole underlying thing. You'll just hear that song like throughout the entire gameplay, like and everything. So that just cemented it even more. Having my favorite band with my favorite game, and all that stuff.
Yeah.
And they have not shown any signs of letting up. I mean, they're still cranking it out. So we're planning on going, and I want to watch them in Fenway because my favorite team's the Red Sox. I want to watch them in Boston because I always do a show there every now and again and stuff. But yeah, they've put 12 albums out. These guys, the whole thing, what you talked about with them and Nirvana, Pearl Jam actually had a problem with Ticketmaster back in the day.
Okay.
Because
Who hasn't?
well, right, but what they did is, like, whenever they were selling tickets for shows, and Ticketmaster would charge like this fee, right? And Pearl Jam didn't agree with them charging a fee. They wanted them being like, because Pearl Jam decided we're going to put on a free show, but yeah, they had to buy tickets through Ticketmaster for the free show so they didn't go crazy. But then Ticketmaster was still trying to make money on the free tickets, so they kind of boycotted them, and it turned into this whole thing. But anyway,
wasn't Pearl Jam also a advocate for the West Memphis Three? Was that them?
What's the
three guys? Yeah, the three guys that were accused in the 90s for the murder of those boys. And was that them? Hold on.
I don't know what you're talking about, but
okay, hold on.
But as you're looking that up, like
so the West Memphis Three were basically Damien Eccles, Jesse Miss Kelly, and Jason Baldwin, convicted of murdering 3 8-year-old boys in '93. But forensic evidence introduced in 2007 and July 2011 showed DNA that did not match them. So it was
Gotcha.
basically a witch hunt in
Gotcha.
Arkansas, in West
Oh, you know
Memphis
what?
of
I think I remember hearing that.
and
Back. Yeah.
and yeah, singer Eddie Vedder of Pearl Jam performs on stage during the third annual VH1 Rock Honors. That was the picture. Vedder has been advocating the men's release for years in various forms. He recorded the single "Poor Girl" for a free the West Memphis 3 benefit CD that was released in 2000. There you go. If
Interesting.
you wanted any more reason to
Yeah, there you
love Pearl
go.
Jam. Yeah, whenever I was listening to the podcast on the West Memphis 3, I was like, Pearl Jam, huh?
Yeah, and they are very they are constantly, like raising money for certain things. They're very pay it forward kind of stuff as well and everything. But yeah, it's when we said we were going to do the bands list, like this was easily my number one, like automatic, just bam, because
Yeah,
I have my car, it has stickers all over it of Pearl Jam. It's
yeah.
like, and all that stuff is just, but yeah, anyway,
Cool.
uh, greatest band of all time. And they used to be called Mookie
Well,
Blaylock.
next to Ninja Sex Party,
They
my
used to be
comedy internet band.
they used to be called Mookie Blaylock back before they became Pearl
They
Jam.
should have kept that. They should have
Yeah.
Mookie Playlock. Is that
Well,
what you
because that
said?
was the name of a basketball player. I don't know why they called themselves Mookie Blaylock, but that was
Okay,
before they released this album. They changed it to Pearl Jam, obviously, but
gotcha.
Mookie Blaylock, for one reason or another, was what they were calling themselves. So,
Interesting. Well, that was yeah, I mean, overall, I'd say, I mean, your list is incredibly solid. I knew every single one.
mhm.
So if what was her name? The one who made Rock Hard? Uh the board game?
Oh,
Um
Penny something.
Penny. That was
Right.
Jamie. Is it Jamie?
Hold on,
What's her name? My
hold
God,
on,
we
hold on,
suck.
hold on. Give me a second. Rock Hard. Uh,
Jackie.
Jackie Fox.
Yep,
Yes.
yep. Sorry. If she happens to see this, I don't know why she would. But if she happens to see this, I just want you to know the younger one knew every single band that the older one put on his list. And
Yeah, but most of mine were around when you were alive, though, except for Queen.
yeah, when I was what, 3? No, actually 91, I wasn't born yet.
Gotcha.
Just 'cause, like
Yeah,
yeah, I grew up in the 90s, but all of mine were early 2000s when you were
well,
like graduating college.
I'm not. Yeah. I graduated high school in 96. So,
Okay.
um,
Hey, yeah, there you go.
but no, like not to put any more crap on Jackie, but if I was looking at those bands and everything, I would still pick Joan Jett over her just because they lasted longer and
Yeah, that's true.
you know. But anyway,
Yeah.
there
So,
you go.
but fantastic list. Yeah, a little unorthodox for anyone who comes to my channel for strictly board game stuff, but we like things other than board games, and music is the one thing that can save the world. Um, but yeah, like I hope that we showcase some new bands that maybe they could become your favorite bands. Uh, and let us know what you think of these bands in the comments below and what your favorite bands are also. And that's it, everyone. Like, comment, share, and subscribe, and have a wonderful whatever time of day it is for you.
Hey everyone, thank you for watching, and I really hope that you enjoyed the video. If you would like to see more of my content, go ahead and click that subscribe button and the bell to be notified whenever I upload any new content. If you feel like supporting the channel, you can go ahead and click that Patreon link to be taken to my Patreon, and any help is truly appreciated. Other than that, stick around for any other run-throughs or reviews or cool top 10s or whatever I feel like putting on. Other than that, like, comment, share, and subscribe, and have a wonderful whatever time of day it is for you.